Okay, so I guess I'll go first. The main takeaway I had from the class was the ideal versus art self, which is kind of the most basic point of it. But I feel like that's why it's so significant to me. I feel like every single aspect from the class really grew on the ideal versus art self. Even with like coaching, like I feel like ideal self is like who people actually want to be, and the art self is kind of who you're trying to help them be, or trying to help them overcome rather. So just in identifying like things even within myself, like I just feel like it's pretty fundamental for my growing in the class.
I think that Ali definitely used the right word there with fundamental. This is a baseline knowledge of the class that you can't be a coach, you can't even really be a social human being without understanding this concept. And while it's not the most straightforward of concepts, I think it's something that people can pick up kind of easily if you just sit down and explain it to them. But it's not something that people are really going to understand if you don't actually sit down and explain it to them. So I think that's a lot of value from the class. It comes from sharing this kind of simple but very meaningful idea.
And kind of add to that, so for me, my ideal self is kind of different from the art self, which is exactly how my parents want me to turn out to be, and how I think I should be in the future. So through this class, I'm starting to learn how to bridge the gap between these two, the ideal self and the art self, because for ideal self is more like liberal thinking and art direction inside of me, and art self should be more professional and into the business and accounting field. So I'm learning to combine all these two characteristic with me now, and yeah, that's all.
So, moving to like what I really took out of the class a lot. This is, at least as the title would suggest, it's a coaching class, and I really wanted to come into the class to get some kind of coaching ideas or coaching experience, and I really feel like that happened. Even if it was just a transactional clause conversation that we had, or taking the tools that we learned in class to have conversations with my friends or family, I really feel like the class gave me the baseline tools that's able to take a normal conversation that you have to help an individual and to have a conversation that goes beyond that and becomes a coaching conversation. I feel like the life map really needs to be mentioned here, though, because while it's not on its face a coaching conversation, there isn't a lot of coaching that happens there. I feel like it's as close to a coaching conversation you can get without having an actual coaching conversation, because in the end, it is very like you are very vulnerable in that conversation, and it leads into noticing what is really important within your life and how you can take that knowledge to the future.
So what I took away from the class in terms of coaching, Ali and I kind of discussed this, and we're in agreement that it was really difficult for both of us to coach our peers. I think there's that level of like kind of awkwardness, especially when you're supposed to be doing it in class or something. So we talked about how that was difficult and like trying to overcome that to be as effective of a coach as we could. This also just came to my mind. I had really positive experiences every time I was coached in this class. So like Ali coached me for one of our assignments and helped me to realize things about like what my transactional flaw was that I never would have come to on my own. So I think most of the things I learned about coaching were actually through being coached in this class because I had such good experiences through that.
Okay, and kind of adding to the difficulty of coaching, when I was coaching, I had two main coaching sessions. One of them is with Tessa, and the other one is with my friend. So for coaching my friend, there was a difficulty for when I asked her some questions, and she was kind of rejecting me and closing down herself in front of me, and that was kind of negative feedback for me. But to face and to overcome that difficulty, I really got to have a strong heart and a consistency toward her, so that I could keep asking like different
I just went to sleep. It's still recording. Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. My computer does that.
So, where was that?
Your friend.
Having a strong heart.
Yeah, having a strong heart and consistency, and kind of asking her different questions from different perspectives, but to get real guidance and help for her to figure out what her really, truly problem was. And so, for DISC is my main takeaway for this course. From DISC, I know that for myself, I'm the D type of person, which means I'm like to conquer and to be dominant most of the time, and also learning about others, like figuring out people, what are the people, what type of other people would be, enables me to work and to get along with people more effectively and communicate them with the way they prefer or we can both feel comfortable with. And for myself, I've got a kind of flat pattern, which means I'm not so distinguished from other three types that much. But that's very interesting also because I found myself also resonant to other three types, and I can just think of how I can improve myself through the DISC.
Yeah, kind of similar to something you said about like the relationship aspect. I actually made all of my family and my boyfriend take it. My mom and my dad were super similar, like they pretty much plot them on top of each other, and so was my boyfriend and myself, which I really thought was interesting as far as the relationships that we have. That maybe indicates that people that have the same DISC type maybe get along better, maybe they're more compatible. It also makes me maybe think that we've grown to be the same, like maybe we started out different, but then kind of working together we kind of developed the same pattern. So like you said, I think it's really important to look at those when you work with other people, whether it be in work or like my example in family relationships.
And going off that too, like Ali just said, in work or in relationships, what I took away from DISC was how, not necessarily like vastly different, but how different it could be based on the perspective I took it from. So when I took the assessment in class, I took it from the perspective of like my coworkers at my internship. And since I was in an entry-level position and was constantly just trying to like prove that I could be successful there, most of what I focused on was like being really respectful and like organized and structured and getting things done, as opposed to like in a classroom setting. I think I would probably score a little bit differently, more on like the D or I side of things. So that was kind of what I took away from it, is that depending on where I am or what I'm doing, I can be perceived a little bit differently, which I'm not sure if that's considered a good thing or bad thing, but that was what I noticed the most through DISC. And then the things I took away most from this class were centered kind of around the wheel of life and the 9 universal needs that we've talked about fairly recently. At the time we were learning about that stuff, I was kind of like going through a personal conflict of like what I wanted to do with my future and things like that. So being able to look at like where I stand in life currently through the wheel of life, and also like trying to figure out what I really need in my future, helped me sit down and be more okay with where I am and where I'm going, and like understand myself better and like how to provide myself with the future that I both want and need.
Going on along with that, I feel like the wheel of life is a very strong tool in realizing a fact that everybody knows, that their life isn't perfect and there's ways to improve upon it. But it not only shows you that your life is not perfect, but it also shows you like a very tangible way of improving it in a way that you will say will make your life better. Like if you feel like that your hobbies section is pretty low, it gives you a reason to go out and find a new hobby that you might not have found otherwise. I feel like it's very important, because a lot of these things are very abstract that you wouldn't realize if you didn't take the time to actually do some self-analysis to figure out what is wrong with your life that's not as perfect as you want it to be.
Yeah, that's really interesting and makes me think of what I actually did since we did that bought a guitar and started playing it, which kind of goes into the idea of like wants versus needs. Like the pairing of the Wheel of Life and the fundamental needs are in and of itself wants versus needs. So I feel like they're very well tied. Like even in the discussion we had in class about Myers-Briggs versus the DISC assessment, I really feel like you need both wants and needs. You can't really have one or the other. Like even tying it back into my idea about ideal versus odd self, I feel like the odd self will never purely go away just because on a base level, like most people wouldn't be happy with a quality of life like living in a hut, so that's not really an option versus like giving it all up and like going to Australia, which is always my ideal self. So I feel like the ideal and the odd self go together with the wants and needs and kind of bring the whole class full circle.
Thank you.
Awkward ending. Bye. Oh shit.